Good afternoon. We want to welcome you to our regularly scheduled board meeting of January 2006. Everybody would please stand. Vicki, if you'd lead us in prayer.
Dear Lord, we gather here today and ask that you bless these proceedings. Grant us your serenity that we may continue upon our path and accomplish all that comes before us. Please help us remove the sediment from our channel quickly. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Commissioner Collins, if you lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. This is our first public comment period where anyone can come and sign up to speak to an item that is on our agenda, and our agendas are on our website that are available for viewing or downloading. We also have a second public comment period at the end of our meetings where you can speak to an item even if it is not on the agenda. We have no one signed up to speak, so we'll move to the first item, which is approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of January 11th.
Make a motion to
Second.
approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Item number 2, report of our port director. Mr. List.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and our guests. I know everybody has been listening to the impacts of what we call the shoaling, which is sediment deposit into our the entrance of our channel. The rest of the channel is fine, but this is excessive shoaling in that area, and we and everybody, all the professionals that are looking at this, have considered that it's attached to the unusual storm season that we had this fall, and we're still having some storm effects right now. So the depth of that entrance has been reduced and is limiting a little bit, not too much, the entrance of the vessels, the larger ones with larger tonnage especially. So fortunately for us and the people involved, our customers, the agents and the stevedores, everybody has been partnering and cooperating to minimize the effects of this. I had put my comments together for this afternoon, saying that the good news is that we haven't lost any vessels yet that were scheduled for the Port of Brownsville, but I was just notified that one vessel is being diverted as we speak to another port because of the expensive demurrage that will be charged to the customer, already being charged. Other vessels have gone to other ports to lighten their load and come back. So the other ones are still coming back to the Port of Brownsville. So we've only lost one of many vessels that are scheduled here for this new year. So we'll continue working with that. We're looking at the assistance of the U.S. Corps of Engineers, and they're taking it as an emergency, and we're looking for emergency funding to resolve the problem for the long term. On another item, Deputy Emard and myself attended a meeting in Austin, Texas yesterday with the Texas Port Association, and basically it's an effort to unify the ports as a unit to get more attention as far as our funding for the different infrastructure projects and other matters. And they used as a model the state of California, who's done a very good job of assembling those impacts that they see, that they offer the U.S. government as a whole as far as taxes and so on that go from California to them, and therefore they should benefit from all that comes back. And so we're doing the same thing and trying to get those benefits for the state of Texas, and consequently the Port of Brownsville will also benefit from those. A side note, we got information today as we complete the year that our Safety and Security Department has had a record, almost a perfect record of attendance, and I think this really shows a good example of discipline and an example for all of us to follow, to make sure we come to work on time and we be here during the times we're supposed to be here. And so I think they're going to pass out an award each one of the people in the safety and security, and congratulations to Director Gavito, for Safety Department Director Gavito, for that good effort. That's worth recognizing. Our Northeast representative has been following up with their regular reports, and they have outlined vessels that and possible companies that would be interested in starting service from the Port of Brownsville to other to destinations in the U.S. Gulf, perhaps Mexico, Yucatan Peninsula, some ferries, cruise ferries that could work. So we're very pleased with the kind of input that we're getting from them so far. And there's a lot more there, and I think it's in your backup, so if you'd like to look at it. Regarding our efforts with containerization to try to become a container port, we have been working with different people, but Mr. Schaefer, Ken Schaefer, is certainly wanting to be a part of bringing the container business back here. There was a little startup last year, and want to do that. We're thinking together how we need to take this to success, and so we need to know if the railroad is going to accept containers across across Mexico to create a land bridge for the Port of Brownsville to receive and ship containers out of here to and from the Far East. So we have planned to, several of us, go to Kansas City and visit the president of Kansas City Southern for that purpose, to ask the question if we can partner with them for this effort. If we get a green light, then we can move on to the next step and begin contacting the large container operators to see if they would like to be a part of this opportunity in the future. And that's all I have this afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions? Alrighty, moving to the next item. Consider an act on rescheduling regular board meeting of February 1st, 2006 from 5 p.m. to 10 a.m. And this is in light of, I believe, your travel plans. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Item number 4, consider an...
I'll be out of town.
Right. Consider an act on joining Texas 21, item 4. This is an item that we discussed last week, gentlemen, and we do have some additional information that has come in since our last meeting, and that is the question. I think the question was whether the dues are prorated, and the organization begins its fiscal year in October, and they have prorated other members' dues if they had 6 months or less remaining in the fiscal year, but they're willing to make an exception to us by charging us half the dues for this current fiscal year, which would be then half of $25,000 or $12,500, if we will agree to and commit to be a member at the full price at $25,000 a year for the following fiscal year, which would be 06-07. So that's the status of that. I guess we could get a year and a half or over a year and a half for $37,500, as opposed to just 1 year for $25,000. We talked last week about this organization. I think Commissioner Cristiano asked if the city of Brownsville is involved, and yes, they are. It would be great to partner with them in this. Go ahead. Did you have a question?
No, I was just gonna. I didn't mean I wasn't interrupting.
Yeah.
This is to help bring in a corridor, interstate corridor into our city.
Exactly. It is
into our port.
Yes, it is, and it's particularly important that we seriously consider this now in light of the news that we have that the typical and traditional methods of funding interstate highways, namely I-69, they say is dead. And if you look at the articles that were attached in the backup, the Harris County, the special assistant to the Harris County judge, who's Harris County is a member of this organization, as is the Port of Houston. She says this is why an organization like this is so important, because it attempts to marshal and to sort of gather private and public funding sources together for this initiative. I'm concerned that if we don't join this organization, we'll be left by ourselves, all alone, without any plan.
I'll tell you what I believe, and I'll tell you what my concern is.
Mhm.
I believe we have to get involved because when the time comes and people are actually starting to decide where the corridor is going to go,
Right.
everybody always looks, well, what entities are stepping up to the plate
Right.
to try to make sure we get the corridor. So I think we have to step up to the plate and try to bring it to our area.
Right.
I would just, I'm sorry. Go
Go
ahead. Yeah, I didn't know if you'd finish. I'd just like to add that the Port of Houston is a member as well, and that sort of brings us into a bigger light. And just wanted to add that.
Oh, may I say something?
Yes, sir.
Port of Houston is one port. We're a very small port. I don't see the other ports on the coast join. Right now, personally, I don't believe we should go the route because 69, some say it's dead, some say it's not. We don't know for sure. By joining that doesn't mean 69 will come or won't come. Anyway, we have consultants already, and this is just another form of a hiring consultant, as far as I'm concerned. We have consultant on payroll that can go to bat for us.
Well, you're right about that, Commissioner Collins, that we do have consultants, and we've been paying these consultants upwards of $20,000, $35,000 a month. And those consultants are addressing purely federal sources of funding. As a matter of fact, when we asked one of them to assist us last summer on the overweight permit, they charged us double their normal fee. And that was a state initiative. Here, so I don't believe that we have, in fact, we don't have any state consultants. This is primarily a Texas delegation, a Texas lobbying effort.
And I think it's two different issues. I
Right.
think this is an organization that is working to creating a corridor in Texas.
Right.
More so than anything else.
Right.
And the problem I have is when they were talking about 69, we all start scrambling and we say, well, which are the people in the community that are going to step up to the plate and give money and try to bring them down here? Well, we're a government body that needs to step up to the plate and be proactive, not reactive. Once they
That's
tell us
right.
that we don't have it, then we're all going to be
Then we're
screaming and
scrambling,
yelling
exactly.
and so forth. My question, though, is this the only organization?
I don't know if it is.
And the only question I'm asking is, are there competing entities?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's where my concern is. Houston's a lot bigger than the Port of Brownsville. Are they going to get more money than we are?
Well, no, they pay more dues, Roy. Our dues are $25,000 because that's the figure based on our net, on our.
So
on our
how
annual.
is the money going to be allocated?
I don't know. I don't
Or
know.
will it be
I
allocated?
don't know. But we're going to have a seat at that table. Commissioner Collins says, well, Houston is the only other port. Well, Houston, we have to be in this organization because we're the only port that is on the border. And we're talking about a corridor starting ultimately, but not just in Texas, but hopefully at some point in Mexico. We've got to be on this corridor. They were talking when we were at this meeting in the spring on I-69. They were talking about starting at Laredo instead of Brownsville. Do we want to be left out again? Do we really want to be left out? Do we want to be talking, as Commissioner Cristiano says, after deals are done and plans are made? Do you want to be then put in a scramble mode for, what about Brownsville? Here we have a seat at the table, but I don't know if this is the only organization of its kind. I don't know.
Okay,
But Houston's paying more dues than we are.
There's obviously an upfront fee, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They're willing to give us
The half off.
the half discount for 2006.
I would like. I'll make a motion and we can vary it if it's not liked. I'll make a motion that we join for half a year. Get ourselves to the table, and then we can decide whether it is worth it or not. And we are not going to guarantee them that we will join. But if they're as good as we hope they are, then there shouldn't be a question that we would join next year or not.
Okay. Understand that if we do that, then we would have to pay the full $25,000.
I don't think they'll throw away the $13,000.
Neither would I. I would be willing to go that
Ricky,
route.
Travis Pope was very clear that they are willing to prorate the dues contingent the port commits to joining the full year 2006. October 2006.
And that's if you.
If we're not happy in
for
6 months, we don't like it, we're
$37,100.
still stuck for another year. So I don't like them putting that kind of deal on it. I would say the 6 months, try it out. If it works out,
The problem with that, it sounds good, and we should check it out. But the problem is that they're not willing to prorate the dues.
Who has gone the most involved in this organization as of now? Anybody been involved with it?
No.
Anybody?
The only
You see,
involvement
I think it's too much money without knowing what we're getting ourselves into.
the only involvement that we've had was that we got invited to the port got invited to the quarterly meeting.
They came down, Nino. Didn't you speak with the representative from Dallas when he came down? Didn't you visit with him?
What are your thoughts, Nina?
I'd rather not come.
Then I say no.
Let me add one more thing.
I made up my mind real quick.
Highway 69.
Uh-huh.
One of our lobbyists had a lot to do with it coming here.
But
Where it is now.
but it's a different issue, though. I mean,
I don't believe it is, Luigi. I believe it's the same issue. And then you deal with cities like Fort Worth and Dallas. Brownsville is a little city.
Julius, you and I both were at that meeting that we had out there at the event center where you and I were pleading for them not to bypass Brownsville.
Well, yes,
And
that's what
you know
Texas-
what? I have a bulletin for you. They bypassed Brownsville.
Well, then if Texas
Okay.
Department of Transportation want to bypass Brownsville, I don't believe joining that will oppose to bypass Brownsville. But I don't believe Brownsville is bypassed. I really don't believe.
I think it would be good for us to work with the city and join in their efforts. And,
Don't-
if Luigi wants to make the motion, I'm gonna second the motion.
yeah, because I mean, I want to help out the city as well. I want to work with the city, and if they believe that's the only reason why I'm even
Do we
wanting
know-
to do it.
Do we know, Vicki, how long the city is committed for? Okay.
I mean,
I'll comment, if I may. I met with these folks, my impression was that what they wanted to do was maximize, their goal was to maximize the monies that were coming to TxDOT. Primarily from, one of them, and not primarily, but the federal funds that go out of here, this federal state tax, federal tax. We the state had been getting at one time 66% of the dollar, 70% of the dollar. The most recent bill, I understand, is up to about 82 because they've been lobbying and lobbying. You know,
This organization has been lobbying. Yeah.
to bring that figure up. And that was one of their goals. The other goal, from what I understand, is there's a lot of money that are dedicated state tax that are deviated indirectly by the state legislature. And they're trying to stop some of this, in my opinion. The other comment that they made, which didn't quite set right to me, was they wanted to improve the efficiency of TxDOT. I don't know what they meant by that. Now, when you're saying lobby, and you're looking at I-69, and we're looking at Laredo, when Laredo's going to be looking at that, and they're going to, I don't think they're going to be keying in on certain projects, because some of these folks are from Fort Worth, Dallas area, and they're competing. 35 is competing with I-69. I don't think, in my opinion, that it's designed to do that kind of lobbying. Because, you've got all kinds of interest on the highways, and these members. Yes, our interest is I-69, and we need to do everything we can to continue the I-69 movement. My recommendation to you all is take a chance, like Luigi said, and pay the $25,000 for 7 months, but at least you're willing to gamble, but you're not putting out the whole 37.
But I don't understand if we have that choice.
Well, no, what he's saying is decline the prorated offer and just
full
pay
amount.
the full price for less than a full year, rather than obligating ourselves to the
Okay, I
following year.
understand now, okay.
Basically, the choice would be paying $37,500 for about 19 months, or $25,000 for about 8 months.
I'll make the. I'll say I'll say it again. The motion again. Tell Mr. Pope that if he wants $13,000, so we can try it out for 6 months, we're happy to join. And if not, then we're gonna have another agenda item to discuss whether we're just gonna not do it or do it. But this at least gets us to talking to him. Make the motion. $13,000 gets us in. We're at the table. in 6 months, I mean, it sounds like a good organization, but this way we can actually talk about it and see how good they are.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I'd just like to clarify the motion. I had that you had authorized $12,500 through the end of their year. And now I've heard $13,000 for 6 months.
It's 12,500.
12,500.
Through the end of their year, which is
October.
September 30th.
September 30th.
Correct.
All right.
And I'll second that
The
motion.
prorated amount.
Okay, any further discussion?
I think that'd probably be the only way I'd look at it, because just by what hearing Nino say, we're not going to get our money's worth out of it, because Dallas and Fort Worth and all those places are going to get their money, because that's where the big boys are, and they're the ones going to keep all that over there.
Well, so then what's the choice then? Just stay out? And,
No, I
and,
said,
and,
let's go in for 6 months and take a look at it.
I think
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
I think the fact that if we, the city, if the port, the city, hopefully we get other. If it's a good organization, we'll know, and then we can talk to the other government entities such as the university and
That's right.
and the county, and then we can compete against the big cities. But we all have to work together,
That's right.
and when we're doing that, we can compete. But
That's right.
just go ahead.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Let the record show opposed.
Record will reflect. Item number 5, consideration and possible action on adopting a resolution granting certain tax exemptions to certain historic sites under the 2004 Heritage Plan. Do we have Mr. Cantu here? All right, do we have a motion to table? Is anybody here to address this item?
No, we do it every year.
Heritage.
I can explain what this is.
Did he tell us he was not going to show up? Or?
I know we do it every year.
Yeah, we do it
We
every
do it every year.
Okay.
We do it every year.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Has staff reviewed this?
I have.
Is it acceptable?
It's
You're recommending that we grant these exemptions? What's the total value of the tax exemptions that we're granting?
If it sets our taxes about $2,200. That doesn't actually come out of what we collect, it's spread out for all of our taxpayers. We still collect what we need to collect.
Okay,
The effect
so
is
we're
about $2,000 on BND taxes.
so we're asking taxpayers to pay collectively another $2,000.
Yes.
Can I clarify something? The agenda says the 2004 Heritage Plan.
Yeah, it should be
Correct.
2006.
Should be 2006.
With that technical correction to the agenda, do we have a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Item 6, consider an act on consulting contracts and work contracts. Items A and B, PPS Consult for $19,079.93. Lemunion Group for $11,094.55.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Item 7, consider and take action on items over $10,000. Item number 8, consider...
Item 7, how do we tail action?
We just did, Joe. We just did, Joe.
It's a new system.
You didn't see it, did you?
He reads his material.
Item number 8, consider and take action on revisions to ordinance number 3 regarding traffic control in the Port of Brownsville. Mr. Gutierrez?
Chairman, Commissioners, what started this was that we started looking at our speed zones throughout the port. That, we felt like they needed to be lowered, which meant that we would have to adjust the ordinance. We've gone ahead and posted the speed zones, but we have, in doing all of this, other issues have surfaced, and we need to resolve this issues before we bring it back to the board. So what I'm recommending is that, unfortunately, is that we table this item, and we do have the lower speed limits in place, which to advise motorists, because we did feel like we needed to slow down the traffic. But we were trying to do several things to update the ordinance, and we found we had some issues there that we needed to resolve first.
Motion table.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Item 9, consider and take action on a list of items to declare them surplus to the district's needs and to order the salvage auction team to dispose of them. This is an updated list from our last meeting, Debbie?
Actually, this is a new list.
Okay.
We talked about the vehicles.
Right.
This is our trucks.
Okay.
That, Joe and Nino have gone through our, and these are the ones that they're recommending for. A lot of these vehicles have in excess of 100,000 miles. They've served us well. Some of them are no longer running. I have two that are no longer running. And we are recommending that the board declare them to be surplus, and we would like authorization to sell them by bid, to advertise them in the newspaper locally, and to seal bids, rather than try to include them in the auction.
Just curiosity. Well, I'm sorry. Just curiosity. Why wouldn't we try it in the auction?
I actually did not get this list ready to get into the brochure.
Okay.
But I think we'd also do better locally, because this type of vehicle has a market here in Brownsville. Possibly not people calling in on the internet for.
Will you have a price on them, what you expect to get, or it'll be just, here it is, bid whatever you want, $1? You won't have a minimum bid.
We normally don't set minimums on these vehicles that we salvage.
And they're without,
We can
they're
at your-
without
at your-
reserve either, right?
Yes.
The highest bidder, whatever it is. Okay, we have a motion to, we have a motion, do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, there are none. Item 10, consider and act on the following leases. Number 1, Lamar Companies, 2 new leases. B?
Chairman, Commissioners.
I feel like we need a drum roll on this one.
Have a rich man in there.
We have ready,
Very good.
I hope.
Well, we know, yeah, we know what the discussion has been. First of all, I guess, Roy, are you satisfied with the railroad?
Yeah.
The railroad issues?
As long
We
as
have,
Bean's got that taken care of.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
Everybody check it out.
These leases are ready.
So moved.
Just second.
Before something else comes up.
Dan, did we get the survey done?
Yes, sir. We've got,
Yeah.
Yeah, I got your map, everything there.
we've got the description to locate the signs
And-
in there. We've got an Exhibit A.
And in the event that the proposed sign locations do encroach on the railroad easement, are they specified that they be higher than what a rail car would be?
Okay, well, as per the map, they're way,
They're not anywhere
they're not
near.
anywhere near where the rail is.
So all those issues have been.
But
Yes,
I
sir.
would make a comment on that. I think whenever we get to that point, we really need to rethink that, whether we want the railroad to pass under the bridge, but that's not an issue at this point because it's not effective. Down the road, maybe in Lamar's, all 6 signs that they've indicated they wanted are outside the limits, with the exception of one sign that's closer to Brownsville, which we might ask them to move 500 feet north, just to be sure there's no conflict.
My motion stands.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Well, if there being none, we have all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, there are none.
I feel like clapping.
I was about to say, do you want to, I tell you what, to make it worth Louis, Mr. Garcia's while, and bring us the leases right now, we'll sign them right now.
Right now?
Right now.
Make sure you don't change your mind.
We have the chairman and the secretary right here.
Explain why to the public that probably doesn't.
Well, go ahead.
We've been talking about these leases for what? Maybe possibly 4 or 5 months.
Literally since last year.
Last year.
Yeah, 4 months, yeah.
Glad we got it all settled.
These are just the Lamar leases, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can we save that pen?
Did you read
It's
that
going.
before?
It's going to the Smithsonian. think now.
Signed in the right place.
I think Roy, now you can lead us in clapping.
Verify the signatures.
Happy to do it. Happy to do it. Happy to do it. Item number 2, Jesus, is it
Mawak?
Mawak? DBA Eagle Ready Mixed Concrete, new lease?
Yes, sir. This new lease will be located on the corner of 48 and Chemical Road. 48 and Chemical Road, in this corner right here. It is, it'll be effective tomorrow, the 19th, for 1 year with 19 renewal options of 1 year. The purpose is to build a concrete plant there, ready-mix concrete plant. And the rent will be $7,200 a year. And this is based on 3 acres at the current rates of $2,400 per acre per year. And this lease is ready for the board's consideration.
Did they get the pipeline in?
Yes, Joe, did you get with, to verify about the,
I got with Hector, and there's no pipeline in yet.
Okay, but it'll be taken care of by the time they get on the truck. Okay, so moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Item 11, consider and take action on assignments, negotiations, easements, subleases, and contracts in general. Item 1, Joseph Gaiman, authority to negotiate.
yes, sir. Mr. Gaiman is requesting to lease, they have property on Old Port Isabel Road, and just south of this property, it surrounds Loma Alta Lake. They'd like to lease this for grazing and possible growing of crawfish. And I'm asking the board to give me authority to negotiate with Joseph Gaiman.
This is your son, Joe?
Yeah, it's not me, it's my youngest son.
I make a
So-
motion.
I'll second that, especially if it grows crawfish.
You gotta get some water.
Pray for rain, Joe, pray for rain.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Ladies and gentlemen, that
Abstain.
and let the record reflect Commissioner Game was abstaining. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes all the items on our agenda for today. We will have a public comment period if anyone wishes to make a comment immediately following our executive session. We stand adjourned.